Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss what Prakriti, the divine design of nature, the 22 protons of carbon dioxide. Now I would like you to look at this particular picture which is there in the thumbnail. You see something like an orbit there. This is made of 22 by 21 ratio. Then you see a symbol of carbon dioxide, you see atmosphere, and you see 22. Does this symbol make anything to you at this given moment of time? Now from this moment of time, let me now discuss as we proceed what is the real beauty of Prakriti, how it is associated with carbon dioxide, and what are the 22 protons, and what is Divyank all about. Now come to the question. We are talking about chemistry as such, the divine design of nature, which whole thing has started only from atom, elements, molecules, compounds, cells, and life thereafter. And this is divine elemental chemistry, which we have started as a new process of understanding elemental chemistry to organic chemistry to biochemistry to anatomy, physiology, biochemistry as we proceed thereafter step by step. Now comes the question. The greatest discovery of my life is Divyank, the divine design of nature, an integrated enlightening wisdom. And this particular symbol is represented Divyank, which is 22 by 21 to the power of 10.34419 equivalent to 1.618034. And this is exactly the symbolic representation of 22 by 20 in its orbit, 10 pentagons and 5 tetragons, and similarly associated with 10 heavenly bodies of the solar system, and exactly same thing is represented within the human body. As we can say, we are microcosmic representation of macrocosmic universe. Entire universe starting from atoms, from hydrogen to all the elements, everything within the human body are in identical thing with Divyank, Divyank ratio, Divyank sequence as such. Now this particular symbol of that I have given you, this is Ganit Vidya, from which we proceed thereafter, which is a sense of everything in mathematics. If you want the science of mathematics, only the divine mathematics. Mother of nature is mathematics, mother of arts is mathematics, and the divine design of everything is mathematics only. Now come to the question of talking about the solar system, which is the subject of discussion today once again, which we are talking about 22 and carbon dioxide and how it is related to the 4 inner planets by and large. Keep this picture. Now we go to the next stage. You see, inner planets of solar system are Mercury, Venus, Mother Earth and Mars. These are the 4, and I do know they contain 97% carbon dioxide to start with. That is my, and remaining 3% was the other gases. Now the atmosphere, the solar system, let's come to the very precise question. Look at this picture. We are going to take so-called inner planets, terrestrial planets, the inner bigger planets to start, which is closest to the sun and before asteroid belt, and they are the solid planets as such. Now the come to the question of sun is the first one, which is the presiding deity of the nervous system. Let's leave it alone. The first planet which comes to my mind is the Mercury of the present solar system, and Mercury has got 42% oxygen. Mercury has 29% sodium, Mercury has 22% nitrogen, Mercury has 7% other gases. Inert gases, as that picture is, helium, neon, argon, krypton and xenon. These are 5 inert matters which are present in Mercury, and other atom element molecules are nitrogen, potassium, water and carbon dioxide as the molecules. And I think this is where the divine chemistry really makes a difference. Now comes the question of 97% carbon dioxide is converted into 42% oxygen. That's a point of interest first. Why? Because Mercury is very close to sun. Sun bright light is responsible to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. Let that point be very clear. It's the carbon dioxide which is converted into oxygen in the Mercury to 42%, which is double the size of the Earth. Then comes the question of sodium. Sodium is the first metal which plays very important role in human body, and it has got 11 protons and very close to neon. And I think sodium is very important, is the first creation as an extracellular product which I am talking about. Then comes to the nitrogen, is a 22%, is again the issue of Divyank once again as a nitrogen in this particular. Now nitrogen is made from carbon dioxide plus hydrogen as such. This is for biological life or organic life, and to make proteins thereafter and energy matters thereafter. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen is the basic thing, from which methane, water and carbon dioxide come. The next will be carbohydrate and lipids from that. But to go to protein you need nitrogen. So nitrogen was formed. Selenium sodium is required as an extracellular product. This was formed right in the Mercury itself. That means design of divine nature. What is going to happen in the human body is very much clear. Then Mercury has 7% gases. That means these 5, helium, neon, argon, krypton and xenon, has a role to play. And within that helium I see antaratma, which is there in every human being. Neon is also represented as the ion of fluoride and sodium, argon as chloride and potassium, and krypton and xenon thereafter going right up to bromide, iodine as such, and astatine also could be added. Then atoms, elements, as I told you, nitrogen is important again for protein. Potassium is the second thing which is intracellular product, that means very important. Same thing, water and carbon dioxide, there are two essential molecules to start with, along with methane, water and carbon dioxide, that is we are talking about. Once we understand how they were formed in the atmosphere of the 4 inner planets, I think we know very well this is divine design, that is a focus. And I am glad that modern science by and large through different people have brought this to the world, and we can understand, appreciate much better. Then come to the question of Venus is the second one after Mercury. Venus had 96% carbon dioxide today. It still is 96%. Venus has 3% nitrogen. That means it is important there. So 99% is between carbon dioxide and nitrogen itself. Other 3 gases are helium, neon and argon only. You don't see krypton and xenon there. Other gases are water and carbon dioxide continues, and there is sulfuric acid thereafter. That means sulfuric acid has important role in organic chemistry and particularly enzymes and some of the chemicals within the human body. So this is the reflection which I see from the universal consciousness, which I am going to see in human body to make a difference in how to be healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. Now there comes to question of Mother Earth. At the present system, as I told you, oxygen is 21% and in Mercury is 42, his 21 half of that, and this oxygen is formed because of photosynthesis. Let it be very clear, it is photosynthesis which used up carbon dioxide to convert into carbohydrate and water also to convert into oxygen. This is the combination where in Mercury it is oxygen from carbon dioxide, but here oxygen is from water, and then nitrogen as 78%. Other gases are argon is 14. Now krypton, helium, neon, argon, krypton is there, but maximum is argon itself of 42%, which is very close to 1 itself. Then you have hydrogen, you have methane and you have carbohydrate, and also there should be water is already there on Earth itself now. There is not in the atmosphere so much, but it is there. Now come to the question of Mars, which is after Earth as the 4th planet before asteroid belt, and that is the term, and this is a solid thing. Now Mars has 95% carbon dioxide, except Earth, 3 of them have got maximum carbon dioxide even today. Mars has got 3% nitrogen and other gases are 1.5% argon, and I do argon 40 is very important from which calcium is formed, I mean potassium is formed, and many things come from there only. An entire periodic table of 18 groups is centers around from argon only, because argon has 18 18 protons as such, and 22 neutrons. I do agree, as a argon 40. Then other gases, again helium, neon, krypton, xenon, along the argon is there. Then you have oxygen, water, nitrous oxide, and of course carbon dioxide continues to be there. Now you see a picture becoming much more clearer ki what you are going to happen within the human body, because we are there only because of sunlight. That's effect of sun on these 4 planets give you the divine chemistry, which is going to be seen with Divyank alone. And I think once this is understood very clearly, then we will be able to move on to understand elementary chemistry, inorganic chemistry, to organic chemistry, to biochemistry, to anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and thereafter is all based on atoms, element, molecules, compounds, cells, and their psychology. Now come to the question of the periodic table. The divine periodic table, as I told you, the first 3 things are very important as the elements are concerned. Hydrogen is the maximum, then you have carbon and oxygen. These 3 things put together are the most important. The 4th thing which is important is helium 4, which is the human soul, and only with that soul can make a difference. So 4, 3 plus 1 is important. Then first 3 inorganic molecules are important. Now I am talking about inorganic molecules. That is methane with the power of 10, water with the power of 10, carbon dioxide the power of 22. See again Divyank, 22 by 21 to the power of 10. You can see it very, very clearly. And the same thing you can see 7 periods and 18 groups, and 18 group is what argon is all about. Now come to the question of transformation of the solar system. Mercury gets a maximum direct sun, as I told you. Hence Mercury has 42% oxygen. It is carbon dioxide which is converted into oxygen as such. But Mother Earth has 21% oxygen, is not for the direct sunlight alone. It is a photosynthesis where plants also come to play a role. There is sunlight, but there is a plant. But in the process, there is a little change compared to what Mercury. Mercury has no plants. So direct sunlight converts carbon dioxide into that. There is no water required there. But here there is water, there is carbon dioxide, there is sunlight, and there are plants which put together produce carbohydrate as well as oxygen in the process. And this is the picture you have showing it. This is on the earth. Water is converted with the light into oxygen, but that is not the case in Mercury. This is on earth. Then carbon dioxide is converted into sugar or carbohydrates as such. One is a light one, another is a dark matter. And when light and dark is understood, we will understand things even better as we go on. But this is what happens in the plant kingdom. As a growing plant as such give you this thing, oxygen and carbohydrate using water and carbon dioxide. Now the spiritual science, I am talking divine example of the chemistry, which I understand is very important for us to understand how nature has helped me to understand things from Ved, Upanishads and scriptures, which are Sanskrit in nature, and modern science from divine mathematics to physics, chemistry to medical sciences to biology. Both science and spirituality has made me understand both them. By themselves they are insufficient and defective. But when put together as one, 2 sides coming together, only then the picture becomes very, very clear. Without science and spirituality coming together, integrated thing, our knowledge of the self itself is defective, world is also defective. That is sectarian, which need to be controlled. So Khando Ma Akhand Game, what was disintegrated has to be integrated. That is statement of Akhand Vidyashram Ashish Bhushan Sharma by and large. Now come to the question of again, same thing which I told you, how it is given in the beginning as such, you are going to see it. Now come to the question of explaining the first element is hydrogen, the sun, which is the maximum in the universe. The second thing is Aditi, the helium 4, which is Antaratma by and large, is also second one in the universe. Third thing is this carbon, which is fourth in the universe, but it is important for organic matter because Lord Shiva is responsible for dissolution and regeneration. Burnt ash, which is burnt carbon, you can see in Panchbhutas. As a result, Divyank 0.34419 are these 5 bhutas, and that's why carbon plays very important. It's a sixth element. Now the eighth element is oxygen, the Agni, which is very important. This is the one which brings the transformation. Less of Agni is the water and solid ice, and more of Agni is the Vayu and Akash. And once this is understood, that understand water science talks of only 3 stages: solid, water and gases. This is Prithvi, solid, water, fire, Vayu, air and energy. 5 things are more important rather than the 3 things which modern science talks about. We are going to rectify those things, and these are 4 things which made me understand how divine pictures of gods and goddesses have made me understand, because how much divine mathematics there. They are not imaginations, they are full of science, but someone who understands both the things can understand. Otherwise, you cannot. And if you are only spiritual person without a science background, you will not understand. If you are scientist without a spiritual background, you will not understand. Only when both are together, you can understand these pictures very well and make the difference for the world to understand concept very, very clearly. Now to come to the question of the first molecule which was made by nature was methane only, and that is 1 carbon with 6 protons and 4 hydrogen is methane, then 10 protons, that is, and that represents 10 stages of development itself. And you can see in this picture very clearly how methane is made and how methane is used to produce carbon dioxide thereafter. I think that is the starting point very, very clearly. And once you understand this, only you will know how the nature really works. How you can see in the process, you can definitely see Kamadhenu, which has 61.8034%. Methane in cow dung is the most worshipable animal and is like a next only to the mother's milk, which is excellent. I think divine cow of Indian origin, Kamadhenu, is absolutely essential to understand methane and things like that. Now the comes to the water company. As I told you, the Amrit I talked about, the descent of goddess Ganga, Akash Ganga to this to give is again content of water has to be 61.8034%, which is the second part of Divyank, and it's got 10 protons, 2 from hydrogen, 8 from oxygen put together. It's like methane that. So this is absolutely, these put together is a divine molecule which can make a difference in homeostasis completely. Only the water content of 61.80% on the earth, in the human body, in the cells is absolutely essential, and that is shows why methane water mix important. Now come to the question of the periodic table and carbon dioxide, the third molecule which is important. And this is where hydrogen and oxygen put together methane is there, what is there, but then comes to carbon dioxide where carbon and oxygen alone are together, 1 carbon, 2 oxygen put together are that, and they got 10 protons, 6 from carbon, 2 into 8 16, 6 plus 16 22, and that is exactly Divyank is all about. You can see the first letter is Divyank, that is Prakriti, starts from carbon dioxide only again and again and again, and everything appeared thereafter from thereafter. Now comes to the question of divine carbon chemistry. As I told you, it is methane plus bonding of methane and oxygen etc. finally forms carbon dioxide. When this is carbon dioxide is formed, only the process is replaced. Earth had carbon dioxide to start with. Now it's converted into 21% oxygen and this. Now there is no carbon dioxide as such. You need to produce carbon dioxide again to keep the cycle going, otherwise it is not at all. Carbon dioxide is not a bad, it's absolutely essential device design. Without 22 cannot. But now we are using different forms of matter which give methane plus oxygen to become carbon dioxide. This is essential, and I do play a very important role methane in different forms, including animals to gases to this and that is again something which nature has started from up down. Now from inside up we are taking it up and giving carbon dioxide once again to keep the equilibrium by and large. Now, as a mathematics of carbon dioxide, as I told you, methane has got 10, oxygen 4, water 10, and you can see the formula done. Methane plus 2 of oxygen put together, they unite to form carbon dioxide and water, 2 molecules. Once this formula is understood, you know the basic elementary chemistry, inorganic chemistry, which is absolutely essential. This again centers around 22 and 10 by and large. Now the atmosphere, the mother earth, as I told you again, Divyank, this is where I told you again oxygen and carbon dioxide. Let's concentrate only on carbon dioxide in this particular part. As such, we will move on to the next stage. Now come to the question of this particular picture. As I told in the beginning, we are going to see the same effect once again. Now outer picture is an orbit which is 21 into 22. Earth itself is made of 21 parts, 7 parts of earth, 7 atmosphere you can see in that, and 7 heavens, 21. The one go beyond is 22 is what Upanishads are talk about. So the first one, 22 itself is Upanishads also talk to get the liberation, it is 22 organs. That's one. Second thing, you can see the carbon dioxide on top, that means it has got 22 protons, which is important. Second, you see a beige color in the background. That atmosphere's color is beige, not blue color as far as the universe is concerned, which is helium, neon, argon, hydrogen, etc., etc., etc. The universal color is beige, not blue in the universe. That is cumulative consciousness, you can see very clearly. Second thing, you see the atmosphere which is blue in color. You see the blue color in the sun, blue color in the sky, in the water, everywhere. And if you look at the sun as such, it's golden yellow. Leave it that alone. But atmosphere is blue. But now in the process you can see 7 stages of blue. Antariksh is made of 7, earth is made of 7, and heavens are 7. But in these 7 parts of that you see blue color, and that is again produced by carbon dioxide, and 22 shows the number of particles by and large. And once you understand that, is very clear. Now I am going to make you another statement in the next one to show how things were changed thereafter. Now comes the question of oxygen. As I told you in the picture earlier, now the same picture, little difference here. You have light dependent reaction and light independent reaction, two things. For one, light of sun is very important. With that only the water is converted into oxygen on the earth. On the other side, where sunlight is not essential but carbon dioxide is used up through a process in the stroma to make glucose, which is carbon, hydrogen, and this carbohydrate. Hydrate of carbon, which is the glucose, to primarily started inside in the cell with the photosynthesis completely. Now water is converted to oxygen, that gives you NAD and ATP as such. When carbohydrate glucose is formed, then you use ATP to form ADP, NADH into NADP. This cycle goes on in the stroma of the plant cell itself, and you can see both. One is light, another is without light, and this reaction shows that this is what has made me also understand that mercury, carbon dioxide, is converted into oxygen, not glucose, because you don't have light independent things over there. You have only thing. Since there is no water there, it is only carbon dioxide. It's a carbon dioxide which is converted into oxygen. That's it. And I think once that is understood, we can go on to the next stage very clearly. Now come to the second stage, creation of carbohydrate and oxygen. Now I am showing you what plants are doing on the earth. You have the sunlight, energy is coming, then 6 carbon dioxide molecules are collected, 6 of water put together, they come, they do the photosynthesis in the plant kingdom to produce 1 of glucose, carbon 6, hydrogen 12, oxygen 6 is one compound which is carbohydrate or glucose by and large is a mono thing. Plus you give 6 molecules of oxygen. and this is what is responsible to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, and this way you can stick whether is a hydrogen to oxygen or carbon, but this is a combination put together. Once we understood, then I think it's very, very clear. We have gone on to understand how 22 protons of carbon dioxide, where Prakriti, the nature, divine nature actually starts. Once from that only we can move on to the next stage step by step. And I think having understood that, we go on to the last stage once again to show everything which nature has done is there in this particular thing, and whole primordial ocean churning, a Samundar Manthan, a Sagar Manthan is there. We will talk that later. I think it's enough for the day. Thank you very much.